Thank you very much, gentlemen. We move on to the WCC PCI 2014 Dr. K.L. Chopra Memorial Oration.
For all the patients with ISD class 2 level C. Coming to the CVD comorbidities, what are the consequences? The presence of comorbidities often indicate a more severe disease and poor prognosis, and these comorbidities have a strong negative effect on the health status and health services. People with the comorbidities of CVD were 35% more likely to have recurrent cardiovascular events or die than the people with the CVD alone, and people with comorbidities also have increased risk of impaired functional status or quality of life. Comorbidity is associated with more hospital admissions, longer stay in hospital, and greater frequency of visits to general practitioners and specialists. Treatment is much more complex and time consuming. There is a need to focus on a number of conditions at the same time, and multiple medications and therapies are required in almost all the cases, and therefore the risk of dangerous interactions with the multiple drugs increased. And here is the registry from the Clarify, which clearly showed the comorbidities in chronic ischemic heart disease, hypertension around 70%, diabetes 29%, dyslipidemia 74%, peripheral artery disease 9.8%, stroke 4%, heart failure 14.9%, and history of atrial fibrillation 7%. Coming to the role of beta blockers in CVD with comorbidities, and these are the comorbidities that I will discuss very briefly one after another. Coming to the first comorbidity, that is hypertension, meta-analysis of 147 randomized clinical trials and the data from more than 9,58,000 patients where beta blockers used in 37 clinical trials clearly showed that beta blockers proved to be better in the people with history of coronary artery disease, entry after myocardial infarction, and entry after long-term coronary artery disease. Beta blockers had a special effect above that of the BP reduction in preventing recurrent coronary heart disease events in CAD patients with the risk reduction of 29% versus 15% in the trials of other antihypertensive drugs. And this is 2013 ASH hypertension guidelines clearly showed a first-line therapy, the beta blocker is a first-line therapy when there is hypertension with a coronary artery disease. This is 2013 ESH guideline, which also endorsed as a first-line therapy the beta blockers in the previous myocardial infarction, angina pectoris, heart failure, patients with aortic aneurysm, and patients with atrial fibrillation. Next comorbidity is diabetes mellitus. Despite all these strong arguments and the numerous recommendations, beta blockers are still underused in post-MI patients. Only 40 to 50% of the diabetics they receive beta blocker after MI, and in high-risk diabetics, only 28% received beta blockers. In fact, beta blockers in diabetes after myocardial infarction is more effective than non-diabetics. As you can see here, the beta blockers in acute reduction of mortality, the Gothenburg, Miami, and ICE trial clearly showed the benefits in diabetic patients than in the non-diabetic patients. And then beta blockers for the long-term reduction of the mortality, the Bhatt, Gooderson, and Jaksha trial clearly showed the benefit of beta blockers more in diabetics than in non-diabetics. And these are the data from UKPDS where the beta blockers when compared with the SE inhibitor captopril showed the reduction in any diabetic-related endpoints, death related to diabetes, all-cause mortality, myocardial infarction, stroke, peripheral vascular disease. So all beneficial effects have been seen with the beta blockers here. And the curve clearly showed a reduction in intima media thickness at 18 months and 36 months, and metoprolol extended release slowed the atherosclerotic process by 40% in the BCAPS trial. And this is the experimental study in the rabbits, and you can clearly see in the control arm there is a more atherosclerosis and compared to the beta blocker arm where there is a reduction in atherosclerosis and reduction atherosclerosis in the aorta. In the ELVA results, they also showed that metoprolol as compared to placebo reduces intima media thickness at 1 year and at 3 years follow-up. And presence of beta blockers reduce the risk of plaque rupture. Heart rate greater than 80 beats per minute increases the risk of rupture. Mechanism, preventing endothelial injury by inhibiting the mechanical pulsatile stress and the pro-inflammatory action of oscillatory fluid stress, shear stress, and thus maintaining the laminar flow. And here is the mechanism how beta blockers maintain the laminar flow and therefore prevent atherosclerosis. Long-term beta blocker interferes with the key steps in the development of atherosclerosis by decreasing smooth muscle cell proliferation and platelet aggregation, by increasing the prostacyclin synthesis, by decreasing the affinity of the LDL binding to the proteoglycans, by decreasing the frequency of endothelial injury, and finally by minimizing the turbulence and intramural stress. Next comorbidity is chronic heart failure. Once contraindicated, beta blockers are now an important part in the management of heart failure and has been recommended as a first-line therapy in CHF. In the MERIT-HF trial, the post-MI sub-analysis clearly showed that there is a reduction in total mortality by 40%, sudden death by 50%, and death from the worsening heart failure by 49%. And in the seniors trials, where the nebivolol significantly reduced the CV complication in coronary artery disease and heart failure patients by 32%, and sub-analysis, CAD sub-analysis, they showed a 38% reduction in sudden cardiac death, and a meta-analysis also showed that the sudden cardiac death is reduced by 31%, cardiovascular death by 29%, and all-cause death by 33%. Next comorbidity is the left ventricular dysfunction, where the carvedilol in the Capricorn study clearly showed all-cause mortality reduction by 23%, CV mortality by 25%, non-fatal MI by 41%, and all-cause mortality or non-fatal MI by 29%. Next comorbidity is chronic kidney disease, and as you know very well, there is a clear link between chronic kidney disease and cardiovascular disease. In addition to the prevention of cardiovascular events, renal protection is crucial in the management of chronic kidney disease. Recent guidelines recommend RAS blockers as the agent of the first choice in the patients with chronic kidney disease because of significant renoprotective effect of this class of drug. On other hand, there is a sympathetic nervous system activation also in the chronic kidney disease, which acts as a key player in the progression of renal dysfunction and may also contribute to the onset progression of cardiovascular disease. However, reduction of the cardiac output and the consequent impairment of the renal perfusion caused by the beta blockers are thought to be the harmful in the patients with chronic kidney disease. Beta blockers are therefore recommended as second-line agents after RAS blockers in patients with chronic kidney disease and systolic heart failure. Vasodilatory beta blockers may also have a beneficial renoprotective effects. And this study clearly showed that the acute MI and the sudden cardiac death is reduced with the beta blockers in the patients, even given in chronic kidney disease patients. Next comorbidity is dyslipidemia. What the beta blockers in dyslipidemic patients? Beta-2 receptor stimulation leads to lipolysis of the triglycerides into free fatty acids. Traditional beta blockers can worsen the lipid profile. Long-term therapy with beta blockers is used cautiously in patients with dyslipidemia, but some of the newer third-generation beta blockers are lipid neutral and can safely be used in dyslipidemic patients. And here the Gemini trial, where the carvedilol, when compared with metoprolol, clearly showed the benefit in the lipid profile as compared to metoprolol. And here is one of the Indian study where the nebivolol compared with atenolol, all the parameters like total cholesterol, triglycerides, and LDL is reduced with the nebivolol, and HDL there is no difference. Next comorbidity is the peripheral arterial disease. Beta blockers and peripheral arterial disease is now from contraindication to recommended therapy.
Can you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I will just summarize. Okay. Beta blockers in the ACC/HE guideline should routinely be used as a choice for prophylaxis of atrial fibrillation. So take-home points: comorbidities have a strong negative effects on the health status and health services. People with comorbidity of CVD were more likely to have recurrent cardiovascular events or die than the people with cardiovascular disease alone. Beta blockers have a broad spectrum of effect on the cardiac functions. Unlike traditional ones, third-generation beta blockers are safe even in patients with diabetes or dyslipidemia. Beta blockers, once contraindicated, now become indicated in CHF and peripheral artery disease. And lastly, overall, beta blockers are beneficial in the majority of the CVD comorbidities. Thank you very much.
Dr. Pancholi, I think you put your beta blocker case very strongly. As a cardiac surgeon, I only approve of it completely because we are very fond of beta blockers. Both since beating heart surgery started, we like the rate to be slow and non-arrhythmic, and also in the post-operative situation of atrial fibrillation. I think he has enumerated all the benefits, almost making me say, "Lakh dukhon ki ek dawa hai, kyun na ajmaye."
Dr. Pancholi has given a good lecture on this topic. Let's give him a big hand.
Thank you. May I invite Professor Manjura and Dr. Mani to please step forward and present this oration award to Dr. Pancholia, Dr. K.L. Chopra Memorial Oration. Many congratulations, Dr. Pancholia. You have been awarded Dr. K.L. Chopra Memorial Oration.